The first secret to attracting any woman, even one who might not seem interested at first, lies in the power of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean ignoring her or pretending not to care. It means you're not emotionally dependent on her reaction. When you're detached, you operate from a place of strength. You're no longer chasing validation, and that shift alone changes the entire dynamic between you and her. Women are incredibly perceptive. They can feel when a man needs them to respond in a certain way, when he's desperate for approval, or when he's placing his entire sense of worth in her hands. That energy suffocates attraction. But when a man is detached, when his confidence is self-sustained, she feels something rare, freedom. She feels that he is whole with or without her, and that makes her curious. Think about it. When someone is desperate for your attention, it pushes you away. You feel pressured, and that pressure makes you want to retreat. But when someone is comfortable in themselves, when they carry themselves with calm assurance, it draws you in. Detachment works the same way. It communicates that you're already fulfilled, already living a life that excites you, and that her interest would simply be an addition, not the foundation. It's powerful. A detachment also creates mystery. If you're not anxiously trying to prove yourself, if you're not constantly checking her reaction, she begins to wonder about you. She starts to ask herself, why isn't he chasing me like everyone else? Why does he seem so calm and in control? That curiosity often sparks the very interest you thought wasn't there. Suddenly, she's paying more attention, leaning in closer, and questioning why your presence feels so different. The power of detachment isn't about playing games. It's about owning your energy. When you approach a woman with detachment, you're showing her that rejection doesn't shake you, that her approval isn't the prize you're after. Instead, you value yourself enough to know that if she's not interested, it doesn't diminish you. That kind of mindset is rare and it commands respect. And here's the beauty of it. When you detach, you naturally stop over-investing. You're not texting her nonstop. You're not begging for her time. And you're not rearranging your life just to get her attention. Instead, you let things flow. You give her space to choose you freely, and that freedom often leads her right back to you. Attraction thrives in freedom, not pressure. So when you embody detachment, you create a powerful shift. You're no longer trying to force interest. You're allowing it to grow naturally, fueled by the mystery, confidence, and calm energy you radiate. And that's when women who seemed uninterested begin to look at you differently because they feel the strength of a man who doesn't need them. And this is why becoming the prize, not the chaser, is the next step in unlocking irresistible attraction. One of the biggest mindset shifts you must make if you want to attract any woman, even one who doesn't seem interested at first, is realizing that you are the prize. Most men live in the opposite frame. They see the woman as the prize to be won, and in doing so, they put her on a pedestal. They chase, they overinvest, and they sacrifice their own value trying to convince her of theirs. But women don't want to be convinced. They want to feel. And nothing makes a woman feel more attraction than a man who sees himself as the prize, the man she gets to win over, not the other way around. When you're the chaser, you send the message that she's above you. You make her feel as though she's doing you a favor by giving you attention, and that kills attraction instantly. Women are naturally drawn to men who see themselves as equals or even leaders in the dynamic. When you carry yourself as the prize, you radiate a self-assured energy that says, I don't need you to validate me. I already know my worth. That energy makes her want to lean in because she feels she has to earn your attention, not the other way around. Becoming the prize starts with your mindset. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you walk into a room, the way you interact with others. A high-value man doesn't beg for attention. He commands it by being grounded in who he is. He invests in himself, in his purpose, in his growth. He builds a lifestyle that is fulfilling on its own, and that lifestyle becomes attractive in itself. A woman can sense when a man's life is rich with purpose and passion because it means he doesn't see her as his only source of happiness. The difference between being the chaser and being the prize comes down to control. The chaser gives all the control away, waiting for her approval. The prize owns his space, owns his energy, and lets her decide if she's capable of keeping up. This isn't arrogance, it's confidence. It's the quiet knowing that you bring value to the table and that a woman who recognizes it will want to be part of your world. And here's the truth. When you shift into the mindset of the prize, her interest level often changes without you saying a word. Suddenly, she's wondering why you're not chasing like everyone else. She's curious why you're so calm, so centered, and so focused on your life instead of on her every move. That curiosity turns into intrigue, and intrigue is the spark of attraction. So instead of trying to prove yourself to her, embody the man who doesn't need to. Be the prize she works to earn. Be the man who knows his value so deeply that her interest or disinterest doesn't define him. Because when you're the prize, she feels it, and that feeling is unforgettable. And this is why creating emotional impact matters more than physical looks when it comes to lasting attraction. A lot of men believe that attraction is only about looks, that unless they have the perfect face, the perfect body, or the perfect style, women won't be interested. But that belief couldn't be further from the truth. Physical appearance may catch your eye for a moment, but what truly holds her attention and creates lasting attraction is the emotional impact you have on her. What she feels in your presence will always outweigh what she sees at first glance. Think about it. How many times have you seen a woman deeply attracted to a man who doesn't fit the so-called ideal image of perfection? It happens all the time. That's because attraction lives in emotions, not in logic. Women are emotional beings. And the men who know how to influence emotions naturally become unforgettable. You don't need to be a model. You need to be a man who can make her feel safe, excited, inspired, and alive. When you focus only on looks, you miss the bigger picture. Looks fade. What doesn't fade is the way you make her feel about herself when she's with you. If you make her laugh, if you create a sense of adventure, if you make her feel protected and valued, she associates those emotions with you. Every time she thinks of you, those feelings rise to the surface, and that's what draws her back again and again. Creating emotional impact comes from being present. It comes from listening to her words, but also to her body language and her emotions. When you can read her energy and respond with calm confidence, she feels understood. And understanding is one of the strongest triggers of connection. A woman who feels that a man gets her on a deeper level naturally feels more attractive because that kind of awareness is rare. It's also about variety of emotions. If every interaction is flat or predictable, it becomes boring, but when you mix in humor, playfulness, curiosity, mystery, and even silence at the right moments, you create a roller coaster of feelings that keep her engaged. She doesn't consciously think about it, but she craves it. Women are wired to be drawn to men who bring energy shifts into their life because it makes them feel alive. Physical looks may open a door, but emotional impact builds the home. When you make her feel something powerful and positive every time she's around you, her attraction to you grows regardless of appearances. The truth is, a man who knows how to influence emotions is far more magnetic than a man who only has good looks. So don't waste energy obsessing over being perfect physically. Instead, focus on creating presence, energy, and experiences that leave an emotional mark. Because she won't remember the brand of shirt you wore, but she will remember how you made her feel when she was with you. And this is why learning confidence and rejection and persistence becomes the next essential piece in the attraction puzzle. Rejection is one of the biggest fears men carry when it comes to women. And that fear is exactly what keeps so many of them from succeeding. They avoid making a move, they hesitate to show interest, and they live in their heads wondering, what if she says no? But here's the truth. Rejection doesn't destroy attraction. Fear of rejection does. A man who can face rejection with calm confidence immediately separates himself from the crowd because it shows he values himself no matter what response he gets. Women are deeply attuned to how a man handles setbacks. When a woman senses that you crumble the moment she shows disinterest, it signals weakness, and weakness kills attraction. But when you handle rejection with a smile, when you shrug it off without bitterness, when you remain playful and grounded even after she says no, you communicate strength. You're saying without words, your response doesn't define me. I know my value regardless. That energy creates respect, and respect can often grow into attraction over time. Persistence is another layer to this dynamic, but persistence doesn't mean chasing endlessly or ignoring her boundaries. True persistence is about continuing to live with purpose and confidence, whether she's interested or not. It's showing consistency in who you are, not changing just to please her. When a man stays steady in his energy, when he doesn't lose himself just because one woman isn't receptive, it demonstrates that he's rare. He's not controlled by rejection, and that kind of emotional stability is incredibly attractive. It's important to remember that many women test men without even realizing it. Sometimes a no isn't a final rejection, but rather a way to see how you handle yourself under pressure. Do you become needy? Do you argue? Do you sulk? Or do you smile, stay relaxed, and keep moving forward with the same confidence? The men who pass those tests are the ones women remember because they've proven they can handle challenges without losing composure. Rejection also builds resilience. Every time you face it with calmness, you reinforce to yourself that you're not defined by one woman's interest or disinterest. That self-respect compounds, and soon enough, your energy shifts. You stop fearing outcomes. And when you stop fearing outcomes, you become magnetic. Women notice when a man isn't attached to the result, and that detachment makes them more curious, not less. So if you want to attract any woman, even one who may not seem interested at first, don't run from rejection. Embrace it. Show her that her answer doesn't shake your core, because your value isn't up for negotiation. And when you can combine that confidence with persistence in your purpose, you become the kind of man women chase instead of the one who chases them. And this is why mastering the subtle psychology of mystery becomes the next crucial step in creating lasting attraction. One of the most powerful forces in attraction is mystery. Women are naturally drawn to what they can't fully figure out because curiosity pulls them deeper. The mistake most men make is giving everything away too soon, oversharing their feelings, revealing their entire life story in the first few conversations, or constantly being available at the snap of a finger. That approach removes the element of discovery, and without discovery, attraction fades. Mystery is what keeps her coming back because she wants to know more, feel more, and understand more about you. Mystery doesn't mean being distant or playing cold games. It's about balance. It's about revealing enough to spark her interest, but holding back enough that she wonders about you when you're not around. A man who embodies mystery doesn't explain every detail of his life. He allows her to uncover it piece by piece. This creates a sense of anticipation, and anticipation is one of the most powerful emotional drivers in human connection. Think of a great movie or book. What keeps you hooked isn't that you know everything right away, it's the slow reveal. The unanswered questions keep you turning pages or watching until the end. Attraction works the same way. When she can't quite read you, when you leave certain things unsaid, her mind keeps replaying the interaction. She starts imagining, filling in the blanks, and that mental investment grows into emotional attraction. Mystery also communicates abundance. If you're not always available, if you don't drop everything just because she calls, it shows that you have a life of purpose beyond her. That subtle distance makes her value your time more. She realizes she doesn't get all of you instantly, and that scarcity creates desire. A man who lives with purpose, who pursues his passions, and who lets her slowly enter his world is far more intriguing than the man who gives up everything for her attention. Women are drawn to men who keep them guessing in healthy ways. not by being confusing or manipulative, but by staying unpredictable enough that the relationship never feels stale. Maybe it's surprising her with a new experience. Maybe it's the way you don't always respond right away. Maybe it's how you reveal parts of yourself gradually instead of all at once. Each layer keeps her interested, and interest is the fuel of attraction. The beauty of mystery is that it puts you in the position of power without force. You're not demanding her attention. You're inspiring her to give it freely. She leans in because she wants to know more, because the story of you hasn't been fully told. And when she feels that pull, she associates that excitement with you. That's why mystery combined with confidence is magnetic. So remember, attraction isn't about flooding her with information or attention. It's about leaving just enough unsaid that she's eager for more. When you master the psychology of mystery, you stop chasing and start being chased. And this is why consistency of energy and purpose is the final key to becoming truly irresistible. One of the most underrated yet powerful qualities a man can have is consistency. Attraction is not built from a single gesture, one good conversation, or a grand romantic moment. Those things may spark initial interest, but what keeps a woman invested is seeing the steady energy and purpose you carry over time. When you're consistent in who you are and the way you show up and in the mission you pursue, you give her something rare, stability with excitement. Consistency doesn't mean being predictable or boring. It means being reliable in your energy, emotions, and actions. Too many men swing from one extreme to another. Confident one day, insecure the next. Attentive one moment, distant the next. This inconsistency confuses women and signals emotional instability, which kills attraction. But when you are grounded, when your energy doesn't fluctuate wildly based on her mood or her actions, she feels safe. That emotional safety creates trust, and trust deepens attraction. Purpose is what fuels this consistency. A man without purpose drifts, constantly seeking validation or direction from others. He clings to a woman because he doesn't have anything bigger to anchor himself to. But a man with purpose stands firm. His mission, his goals, his drive, they form the backbone of his identity. A woman naturally respects and desires a man who knows where he's going because his life has direction. And when your life has direction, she sees herself wanting to be part of that journey. And energy consistency also means you don't let external circumstances define your inner world. Whether she's being playful, distant, or even testing you, you remain steady. You don't overreact, you don't collapse under pressure, and you don't abandon your values to please her. That calm, unwavering presence communicates leadership. Women are drawn to leaders, not because of control, but because of the security and inspiration they provide. When you combine consistency with purpose, you become unstoppable. Imagine this. You treat her with respect today, tomorrow, and the day after, not because you're trying to win her over, but because that's who you are. You show ambition in your career and passions not to impress her, but because it's in your blood to grow. That level of authenticity eliminates doubt. She doesn't have to wonder if the confident, grounded man she met is just a temporary act. She sees it at your natural state. This consistency is magnetic because it separates you from the crowd. Many men can charm for a week, a month, or even a few dates, but only a man who consistently lives with confidence and purpose creates long-term attraction. Women don't just want excitement. They want excitement they can count on. They want a man whose energy inspires them, not once, but every time they're together. So when you bring steady confidence, a clear purpose, and an energy that doesn't waver, you become unforgettable. Because in a world full of uncertainty, the man who is consistent stands out as the one worth holding on to. And that's why mastering all these principles together makes you the kind of man who can attract any woman, even one who didn't notice you at first.